decisions about where your next meal was coming from. Now that you look back on your life as a success you've become, did you ever think that you would be where you are today?
You know what? When I was homeless, no. I was trying my best to just figure out why me? Why is this happening? I was embarrassed. I was dealing with illegitimate shame, and our listening audience, who knows where they're listening from, what they've been exposed to, but illegitimate shame can wreck your life if you're not careful. And what I mean by illegitimate shame is that, there was no reason for me to be ashamed. My situation was not of my own making. It was not of my own doing. So I was trying to figure out how to overcome it. But, from a psychological standpoint and emotional standpoint, all my research shows that once people start going down a certain road, it's hard to get back on the positive road, the road to success, as you described it. So when I was younger, I wasn't really thinking that, I would go to Harvard one day or I'd be a PhD or reading all these books and all this stuff. No, I didn't. It wasn't until I began to really dig deeper. Avani, I had to figure out, okay, just like I told the children this morning, do I want to stay where I'm at? Or do I want to do something different? Am I okay by risking ridicule and people talking about me and all these other things, but still believing that I could do better, that my future and ultimately my destiny was to have a life of not only being positive, but also helping other people, serving, making an impact, all these other things. That part really came after that self-reflection piece. So no, to answer your question very clearly, I did not know that at first. Through all that adversity, I really was matured. I dealt with that illegitimate shame. I dealt with the embarrassment and realized at the end of the day, people are going to be people. Some people are going to accept you. Some people are going to reject you. And the way I deal with that rejection is really going to be pivotal to my ability to move forward in life.
Absolutely. So you were deciding, okay, I'm going to own me. Yep. I'm going to take responsibility for me, my actions, my thoughts. As there's a saying out there, they say, it's not how people react to you, but how you react to them. That's the more important thing, because
absolutely,
like you just said, people are going to be people. If they like you, they like you. If they don't, they don't. Not everything is for everyone. Not everyone is going to like everyone else.
That's right.
But the thing I'm curious about is, especially for those young kids, I found, for me personally, I just want to say, I was one of those kids that when everybody was going right, I was going left. Not because I wanted to be difficult, but because I just knew that I didn't fit in. And I thought, okay, well, I'm going to have to do me. I'm not a follower, but I'm not trying to make people follow me either. Right. So I took people as I found them, and I hoped that people took me as they found me. I just thought, well, when you're, I don't know, maybe some kids don't know it yet if they're destined for something, but I suppose other people do. So did you decide, okay, I'm taking ownership and I know I'm destined for something else and I don't mind if people are with me or not, kind of thing?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I love your line of questioning. I think at the end of the day, this is something that many people, not just young people, have to come to grips with. Just like you realize you sort of dance to the beat of a different drum. I was the same way. Now, and I have to be honest. I mean, look at what you're doing now. You have a successful radio program, a podcast that's doing well. If someone had said to you back then, Avani, this is what you're going to do, they probably were hating on you. And that's the crazy thing.
Yeah.
I knew that I was different, and the biggest challenge was not being okay with my being different. The biggest challenge was trying to please other people.
Yes.
I had a challenge with that very early on. I mean, there's a theory that talks about really the idea. It's called social desirability theory. And it really talks about the idea that, you want to be liked. And if you want to be liked so much, you'll do whatever you need to do to be liked. And that's problematic. Absolutely. I mean, you put it nicely. That's dangerous because the more you do that, it's like what we talked about at the top of the show. You lose yourself and you're reactionary. You're trying to figure out, okay, if I'm going to make such and such happy, I have to behave a certain way. If I'm going to make this individual happy, I have to grieve and let go of some of my dreams. And at the end of the day, that's all nonsense. You know, we have been called out to be our own individuals and walk in our purpose with passionate intention. If you don't do that, then again, you're just going to be playing catch up and being reactionary the rest of your life. So you and I are much like one another, I guess you'd say.
Thank you so much. Listen, I am aspiring. I want to know because, as I said, I was fascinated to speak to you. And you have had and continue to have an incredible career in so many different fields. Again, people, former NFL linebacker, keynote speaker, author, leadership expert, radio personality, entrepreneur, philanthropist, blogger. I could go on. You do so much. And I must say this, Dr. Jason. In the entertainment industry, especially over there in America, I know that you have the saying triple threat, right? And I'm just thinking, okay, if someone is described as a triple threat, that in itself, that's fantastic. But obviously we can see you do have, many more things that you're successful at. So I'm just wondering, how do you manage to combine all of your different jobs and the roles, and what gives you that work ethic to continue to do everything? It's like juggling. How do what gives you that?
Absolutely. Well, I have a very unique platform. They call me a leadership linebacker because I have such a passion for leadership, and everything that I do, it's almost like spokes from a wheel. You have that centerpiece, and the things that I do outside of it, whether the philanthropy or speaking or the leadership training or consulting with these large companies, I found that my purpose has to be tied to the middle of that. And so these other things, whether it's being a radio personality or speaking, training, all that stuff, they really branch out from that purpose part, and I love to write about just things that will help people to advance and move forward in their lives. So the writing that's very easy for me to do. Very intentional with that part of it. So, I found that as long as it aligns with my purpose, as long as it does not encroach upon my family time and my time to grow and move forward personally, then I'll do it. Even if it's just for a season, Avani. Some of those things, I recognize, hey, if I can do this at a very high level and then deputize someone to continue to do it going forward, and that's fine too. That's all about legacy because, hey, we all won't be here forever. So I'm always thinking about legacy and succession planning, my children taking over, things like that. So just very intentional with it. Hopefully that answers the question. But
more than answers the question, because like you said, some of the things as you said, you may only do it for a season, but it stays with you. And I like to think of things as once you've done it once, that's it. You've done it. You've done it. Because people would say to me, you can't do this. You can't. And I'm looking at them thinking, well, why not? And like you said, even if I only did it for a little while, I was happy that I was able to do it, and I was able to do it hopefully well. Yes. And for people to be able to know that, okay, you have done X, Y, Z, and you've been really good at it. I mean, can I ask you, when did you realize that you were good, and I mean really good, at playing American football? And when did you realize that you could make a career out of it?
Yeah, great question. I've been playing football since I was 9 years old. So I think when I really began to realize that, okay, I could do this thing, it was probably right around sophomore, junior year in high school when people began to come around and say, hey, you know what, this guy's really good. I played offense back then. I didn't even play defense. And I had a lot of records for catching passes and touchdowns and stuff like that. And so it allowed me to really develop, Avani, a sense of confidence, because that was lacking. If you're homeless and you're going through some stuff, it's hard to be positive and be self-confident.
Absolutely.
But getting out on that football field and basketball and also tennis, it allowed me to really develop a certain level of confidence at that point.
And you had a great career, and I know you're still known for that. And like you said, leadership linebacker, again, it's harking back to those days for you. So it must be nice to remember that and put that in things that you do today when you talk to the children and teenagers of today, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, they make the connection, and they're so funny. I mean, they're tied to the idea of sports stars and all of that represents. And so, while I still have the opportunity, I love using the platform of sports and professional sports specifically to really let them know that, hey, that's my entry into CU. But let's really talk about life. Let's talk about choices. Let's talk about your purpose, your passion, your persistence, and then understanding at the end of the day, it's all relied upon partnership, how you're going to connect with other people and learn and grow and develop. That's what I try and share with them.
Wow, fantastic. I mean, it's amazing the things that you've done. I mean, I don't know. So when you say you talk to them about what you've done, but you're also trying to get the inner story to pull it out of them. It's their turn now to say, okay, I want to do this, I want to do that. Do you say to them, okay, you must know what you want to do? Or do you say, okay, find yourself first, motivate yourself just to do well at school and then see where that takes you?
Yeah, great question. I think for me, it's a both and proposition. It's not either or. I essentially tell them, hey, you know what? You got to engage in self-reflection. It's like I said earlier, you have to know you. If you don't know you, anything from that point is going to be counterfeit because you're reacting to what's around you. You're reacting to outside stimuli. You're reacting to what you see on TV, whether it's BET, MTV, whatever it may be. And that's not the real you. So you have to become comfortable understanding who you are first. And then from there, Avani, I try to make sure people understand that you may not understand exactly what your purpose is yet. But when you begin the journey to that self-discovery, then you'll get those cues along the way. And those cues will allow you to have a greater understanding of what you like to do, what you won't tolerate, what you would do, all those different things, whether you dance to the beat of a different drum like you and I, it's one of those things that you begin a journey. And the first step is understanding who you are. So when I go in and speak to them, I try to shock them initially to understand that, okay, it's almost like you're in the Matrix. You're doing everything. You remember the movie The Matrix? Yeah. Essentially, you're doing everything that someone tells you to do, and you're checking the boxes through your life. And I tell people, don't fall for the check the box syndrome. I've written about that. I mean, essentially, you need to wake up and understand that, hey, you're here for a very specific reason, for a very finite amount of time, okay? And during that period of time, you need to make sure you know who you are, you're very intentional with it, and you operate in your purpose. And there are ways to figure that out. I mean, there are assessment tools. There are different things to identify your strengths, your ability to be able to move forward. I've certified in some of those instruments, and it allows people to have a greater understanding of their functioning and really what their purpose is in life. As soon as you find that out, Avani, you got to run with it. Don't play. We only have so much time.
Be you, and as you say, just hold on to. Because one question I wanted to ask you, see, some people may say, oh, you're a loner because you're not following the crowd and you're not, as you just said, ticking off the boxes to keep other people happy. So how does a young person who may be a little shy or who doesn't have confidence, like you said, because I know how I came out of my shell, but everyone has to do things differently, and it happens differently for other people. So what would you say to someone maybe who realizes, okay, I need to do my own thing and I can't allow someone to hold me back, for example, friends or family or something, that they don't want to see me do well? What would you say to them?
Sure. Be okay. You have to be comfortable in your own skin. And I'm going to say that again. It keeps going back to the idea of knowing who you are first. Some people are going to be introverts. Some people are going to really possess the ability to think at such a deep level when they're by themselves that it's going to make other people uncomfortable. It's going to make other people go, well, you're just different, blah, blah, blah. In reality, if they do the work, and I tell everybody, do the work, you have to do the work and have a greater understanding. And what I mean by that, when you discover that either you're an extrovert, someone that really gets their energy from those around them or being in the moment or laughing and joking or whatever, then you stay with that and you're okay with that. That's fine. That's part of your personality makeup. The Myers-Briggs type inventory talks about that sort of thing. And the reality is, if you are introvert, It's the opposite. You are able to glean your energy from being by yourself. You're able to have a greater understanding of what you can do when you're by yourself. You're energized by that. So for those individuals that really like to be by themselves and really engage those moments of self-reflection, I tell them, hey, do that thing. That's the way you're wired to do. So be intentional with it.
Wow. So you can, whichever way you find it works for you, just be happy with it, be comfortable with it, because that will help you